Acquiring a business? BizNexus simplifies it. Access thousands of updated opportunities in our DIY marketplace or supercharge team sourcing with OmniSource, your all-in-one platform for on-market, off-market, and coming-soon deals. Scale smarter today. Learn more or book a demo at www.biznexus.com.
Disclaimer from the always present legal team. Podcast conversations don't necessarily reflect the views of BizNexus Incorporated. Everything you hear is informational news and updates from around the industry. We're not recommending any investments. We're not offering any investment advice. Be sure to do your own homework.
Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today we are taking a closer look at BizNexus's new report, Lower Middle Market Deal Sourcing, a strategic guide for 2025.
Oh, this is a good one.
It is. And it's no secret that the world of private equity has gotten incredibly competitive.
It really has.
With so many firms chasing those huge deals.
Yeah.
But this report has me thinking that maybe, just maybe, the real opportunities are happening a little further down the food chain, specifically in the lower middle market.
The LMM.
The LMM, exactly.
Right.
Now, one of the things that really grabbed my attention right off the bat was how the report describes this kind of perfect storm brewing in the LMM.
It's a great way to put it, a perfect storm.
It is. And it makes sense when you think about it. You've got all these business owners, many of whom have been running their companies for decades, and they're starting to think about their exit strategies.
Right, exactly.
Maybe they're looking for some liquidity, or maybe they're ready to step back from the day-to-day grind.
It's a natural progression for a lot of these businesses.
It is. And then on the other side of the equation, you've got record levels of private equity capital just waiting to be deployed.
And a lot of those pegs are realizing that the LMM can be a really attractive space for them.
Oh, absolutely. They're looking for businesses with a proven track record, something with solid growth potential, but maybe not the same kind of cutthroat competition you see at the top of the market.
You get it.
Now, there was one phrase that really jumped out at me in this report. Flexible transitions.
Oh, that's a key concept.
It is. So can you unpack that a little bit for us? What does that actually look like in the LMM?
Well, what makes this perfect storm so interesting is the sheer amount of capital that's in play. There's so much dry powder out there. And for our listeners, that means uninvested capital just sitting there ready to go.
Right.
So what we're seeing is that investors are becoming much more creative with their deal structures. Instead of just the traditional full acquisition, we're seeing more partial sales. Even deals where the original owner stays on in some capacity after the transaction.
Interesting.
It's a win-win, really. Pegs get to tailor their approach to the specific needs of the business.
Right.
And owners get options they might not have had before.
So it's not just about finding a buyer.
Nope.
It's about finding the right buyer.
Exactly.
Someone who understands the business.
Absolutely.
And the owner's vision for the future.
100%. But the report also makes it clear that there are some serious challenges when it comes to deal sourcing in the LMM.
Oh, for sure. It's not all sunshine and roses.
Not at all. BizNexus highlights 3 major hurdles: market fragmentation, limited visibility, and complex seller dynamics.
Yeah, each one of those sounds like a headache waiting to happen.
Oh, they can be, believe me.
I bet. But let's focus on that limited visibility issue for a moment.
Okay.
The report really hammers home just how difficult it can be to find reliable data on these LMM businesses.
It's a real pain point.
So why is that? Why is getting a clear picture of these companies such a challenge?
Well, think about it. A lot of these businesses have been owner-operated for years, sometimes even decades.
Right.
They might not have the same level of sophisticated financial reporting as a larger public company.
Okay.
Their financials could be tucked away in spreadsheets.
I've seen that before.
You know the drill. And even basic company info might be scattered across various platforms, websites, you name it.
And then you've got those crucial details like ownership structure or succession plans. Those are rarely public knowledge, right?
Exactly.
So to really understand a company's growth trajectory and their position in the market, you have to do some serious digging.
It's like detective work.
It is. And it sounds exhausting, frankly.
It can be.
I mean, if I'm a deal sourcer and I'm spending all this time just piecing together the most basic information, I'd be pretty frustrated.
You and me both. But that frustration, it can actually be a good thing.
How so?
BizNexus calls this opacity a double-edged sword.
Interesting.
On the one hand, it makes things difficult for sure, but on the other hand, it creates a unique opportunity for those who are willing to put in the work.
Okay, I'm starting to see where you're going with this.
Because a lot of these LMM businesses, they fly under the radar of those traditional screening tools that investors use.
So they're hidden gems waiting to be discovered.
Exactly. And the investors who can systematically identify and evaluate these companies, they gain a huge edge over the competition. It's all about who can crack the code of this complex landscape.
So the challenge itself becomes the opportunity.
You got it.
I love that.
Yeah.
But how do you actually build a deal sourcing strategy that can cut through all that noise and connect with those hidden gems?
Well, BizNexus lays out some interesting approaches.
They do, and I'm eager to dive into those with you.
Let's do it. BizNexus really focuses on two core strategies: leverage new tech and develop proprietary networks.
Those are definitely two areas that are top of mind for a lot of folks in the deal-making space these days.
For good reason. And what I find fascinating is how they really emphasize how these two approaches work together to create a more, holistic and effective way to source deals in the LMM.
It's not either. It's both hand.
Exactly. So let's start with the tech side of things.
All right, let's do it. I'm always fascinated by how technology is shaking things up in traditional industries, and deal sourcing is definitely no exception.
Oh, absolutely. The landscape is changing rapidly.
It is. Now, BizNexus talks about these AI-powered platforms like OmniSource that are completely transforming how firms find and engage with potential opportunities.
And they really are game changers.
So break it down for me. How do these platforms actually work? What are they doing that's so different?
Think of these platforms as intelligent assistants for deal makers.
Okay, I like that.
They pull in data from all sorts of sources, public databases, private networks, industry reports, you name it.
Gotcha.
And then they enrich that data with predictive signals.
Predictive signals.
Yeah, things like, gauging an owner's readiness to transition.
Oh, that's clever.
Or identifying companies that are showing signs of growth that might not be obvious just from looking at their financials.
So it's about connecting the dots in a way that humans might miss.
Exactly. And these platforms also deliver real-time updates on company developments, so you're always in the loop.
And on top of all that, they streamline workflow management for business development teams.
It's about making everyone's lives easier and more efficient.
Okay, so if I'm hearing you correctly, it's not just about having more information. It's about having the right information right when you need it to make those smart decisions.
You nailed it. It's a shift from fragmented systems to a more comprehensive, streamlined approach.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, what about that personal touch that's so crucial in the lower middle market? Does all this tech take away from that?
That's a great question, and the answer is no, not at all. In fact, these platforms actually help to preserve that personal touch.
Why so?
Because they free up deal sourcing teams from all that tedious manual data gathering, they have more time to focus on building those relationships that are so vital in the LMM.
So they're not replacing human interaction, they're just making it more effective.
Exactly. It's all about using tech to enhance those human connections, not replace them.
I love that. And that brings us perfectly to the second strategy BizNexus highlights. Develop proprietary networks.
Now we're talking. This is where the real magic happens.
And BizNexus specifically calls out LinkedIn as a powerhouse tool for this. What is it about LinkedIn that makes it so effective for deal sourcing in the LMM?
Well, LinkedIn gives deal makers this unique space to cultivate relationships with potential sellers, advisors, other key players in the LMM, all in one place.
Makes sense?
And you can do it in a way that feels, more organic, less salesy.
Right, because it's not just about cold outreach. It's about establishing your expertise and building credibility over time.
Precisely. By engaging with industry content, sharing your own insights, participating in relevant groups, you're demonstrating your value before you even make direct contact with someone.
So it's about being a thought leader, not just a deal seeker.
Exactly. And don't forget about LinkedIn's advanced search capabilities.
Oh, right. You can get really granular with your targeting.
Oh, absolutely. You can pinpoint decision makers at target companies. You can uncover potential referral relationships. It's incredibly powerful.
So it's about being strategic and intentional with your networking, not just spraying and praying.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's about making every connection count.
I'm seeing a theme here. We're moving away from this reactive approach to deal sourcing and towards a more proactive, relationship-driven strategy.
It's the only way to truly succeed in the LMM.
And what about the future? BizNexus has a section on Deal Trends 2025, and they seem to be pretty bullish on the lower middle market.
Oh, they are definitely optimistic, and I think they have good reason to be.
All right, so what's driving this positive outlook? What are some of the key factors that are going to shape the LMM landscape in the coming years?
Well, first of all, we're seeing inflation cool down, which is good news for everyone.
That's definitely a welcome change.
And what that means is that we could see a return to more normal multiples.
Normal multiples. Okay, for those of us who aren't financial wizards, can you explain what you mean by that?
Sure. Multiples are those valuation ratios that buyers and sellers use to price deals.
Gotcha.
And when inflation is high, those multiples tend to get inflated as well.
So things get a little unpredictable.
Exactly. But as inflation stabilizes, we should see those multiples come back down to earth, which makes it easier for buyers and sellers to agree on a fair price.
So more predictability, more stability. That's good news for deal activity.
It is. And it also means that companies can start to focus more on growth strategies
Okay.
because they're not as worried about just keeping up with rising costs.
So they can actually invest in expansion and acquisitions, that sort of thing.
Exactly. And we're also seeing supply chains stabilize, which is another positive sign.
Right. That was a major headache for a lot of businesses over the past few years.
No kidding. And then there's strong domestic demand here in the U.S., which is always good news for the LMM.
And of course, we can't forget about the role that AI is going to play in making the deal sourcing process more efficient and effective.
Oh, absolutely. AI is going to be a huge driver of growth and innovation in the LMM.
Now, you mentioned the return to normal multiples, and BizNexus seems to think that's going to be a significant catalyst for transactions. Why is that so important?
Well, when buyers and sellers have a more predictable framework for valuation,
Right.
it just reduces a lot of the uncertainty that can sometimes hold deals back.
It's easier to come to an agreement when everyone's on the same page.
Exactly. And it also means that companies can start to think more strategically about their growth plans.
Because they know what their business is actually worth.
Precisely. It's all about creating a more stable and predictable environment for deal making.
And that's what we're seeing happening in the LMM right now.
It is. It's a really exciting time to be in this market.
Now, throughout this entire report, BizNexus keeps coming back to this one idea that's really resonated with me, and that's the enduring power of relationships in deal-making.
Oh, absolutely. You can have all the fancy technology in the world, but at the end of the day, deals are still made between people.
They are. And BizNexus actually quotes Adam Ray, who says, and this is a great line, AI can help find the companies, but deals close over dinner, not data.
I love that quote. It's so true.
It is. And it really underscores the importance of building those genuine connections, that trust and rapport that can only come from real human interaction.
Couldn't agree more. Technology can enhance those connections. It can make them easier to form, but it can't replace them entirely.
So we've got these exciting trends converging in the LMM. We've got new technologies that are making deal sourcing more efficient. We've got a positive economic outlook. But it's clear that navigating this new landscape still requires a strategic approach.
It does. It's not enough to just have the tools. You have to know how to use them effectively.
So for our listeners out there who are working in the LMM space, what are some key takeaways they should keep in mind?
Well, the first takeaway is that the LMM is absolutely brimming with opportunity right now.
It's ripe for the picking.
It is. You've got aging business owners who are ready to exit.
Okay.
You've got a surplus of capital looking for investment. And you've got new technologies that can connect the two more efficiently than ever before.
But navigating this market effectively requires a different playbook.
Absolutely. You can't just rely on the old ways of doing things.
So what does that new playbook look like? What are the key ingredients?
Well, first and foremost, you need to embrace those new technologies that can help you identify and evaluate potential deals.
Okay, so that's the leverage new tech piece of the puzzle.
Exactly. But you also need to cultivate those strong relationships with key players in the market.
So that's the develop proprietary networks part.
Right. And it's crucial to understand that these two approaches work hand in hand.
It's not either, it's both hand.
Exactly. You need the data-driven insights that technology provides to make informed decisions.
Okay.
But you also need the trust and rapport that come from genuine human connection to actually get those deals across the finish line.
So it's a blend of art and science.
You got it. It's intuition and data-driven decision-making working in perfect harmony.
And that's the recipe for success in the LMM.
It is.
And let's not forget, the 2025 outlook for the LMM is incredibly positive.
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot lot to be excited about in this market.
We're seeing stabilizing economic factors, technological advancements, and a growing recognition of the opportunities that exist in this space.
It's a perfect storm of positive trends.
It is, and that makes me even more eager to hear about those actionable steps that the BizNexus provides.
All right, let's dive into those in part 3. Stay tuned.
Okay, so we've explored this exciting LMM landscape.
We have.
We've uncovered all these hidden opportunities.
Lots of hidden gems out there.
And we've seen firsthand how technology and relationships are really reshaping the deal sourcing game.
Absolutely.
But now, let's get practical.
Let's do it.
BizNexus gives us, they don't just leave us with theory, they actually give us some concrete steps we can take.
They do.
So what I want to do now is distill those down to 3 core actions that our listeners can take
Love it.
to really level up their LMM deal sourcing strategy.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right, hit me with step number 1.
All right, step 1 is embrace the power of AI.
Music to my ears.
Right. I mean, and I know we've talked about this, but it really bears repeating. Don't let, sometimes people get a little hesitant about new technology.
Yeah, it can be intimidating.
But seriously, don't let that hold you back. These AI-powered platforms we've been talking about, dive in.
Dive in.
Request those demos, compare the features, see for yourself how they can help you unearth those hidden gems that traditional methods might completely miss.
I mean, when you look at that case study we mentioned,
Yeah.
a 400% increase in deal flow.
It's incredible.
You can't argue with those results.
Absolutely.
But as we've discussed, tech alone isn't going to seal the deal right.
You're right. It's just one piece of the puzzle.
Okay, so what's step 2?
Step 2 is all about building your digital network strategically.
Okay, strategically, I like that.
And I want to emphasize that word, strategically.
Yeah.
Because we're not talking about just, racking up connections on LinkedIn.
Right. It's not about quantity, it's about quality.
Exactly. This is about engaging with thought leaders.
Okay.
Sharing valuable insights, becoming a real contributor to those industry discussions.
So positioning yourself as a trusted resource,
Precisely.
not just another salesperson.
Exactly. When you do that, when you establish that credibility, those relationships you build can organically, blossom into potential deals.
So adding value, not just asking for it.
I love that. That's a great way to put it.
All right, what's our final action item? What's step 3?
Step 3 is to craft a value-driven outreach program.
Okay. And this goes back to that idea we talked about earlier. Relationship building is a marathon, not a sprint.
Right. It's about the long game.
Exactly. So think about developing a multi-channel communication strategy.
Right.
One that consistently delivers value to those potential sellers.
Okay, so how do you do that? What does that look like in practice?
Well, you can share relevant market trends.
Gotcha.
You can offer insights on, say, succession planning, maybe make some strategic introductions where it makes sense.
So it's about being a partner, not just a buyer.
100%. You want to be seen as a trusted advisor, someone who genuinely wants to help these businesses succeed.
That makes a lot of sense. So to recap our 3 action items, embrace AI, build your digital network strategically, and create that value-driven outreach program.
You got it.
Well, folks, there you have it.
There it is.
BizNexus has given us the roadmap.
They have.
Now it's up to us to take the wheel.
Time to put it all into action.
The LMM is overflowing with opportunity.
It is.
And with the right approach.
2025 could be a truly remarkable year.
It could be.
So get out there, make those connections, embrace the new tools at your disposal.
You got this.
And as always, stay curious.
Thinking of exiting your business or taking on a private equity partner to help you grow faster? BizNexus has you covered. Tap into our network of thousands of best-fit investors, acquirers, and proven M&A advisors, and we'll help you begin the relationship confidentially on your terms, your timeline. Learn more at biznexus.com.